in the screen there. And now, as Leslie mentioned, it's the 605 northbound. At this point, it doesn't look like we haven't seen reckless driving, but clearly much faster than the speed that they should be going, and it's a failure to yield as well. Bruce Thomas, a law enforcement expert, is with us. He's got 27 years of law enforcement, and he has been with us before. Bruce, what do you see at this point? I mean, you know, we're on freeways, and right now the traffic doesn't seem to be too bad.
Yeah, you know, at this point, you're chasing a stolen vehicle. CHP is well versed in what they're doing at this point. They'll just maintain their distance and follow the vehicle, as you don't want to endanger anybody's life.
Yes, and I'm looking right now. You can see clearly in the driver's seat the person who is making some movements there. I don't know if he's smoking a cigarette, using a phone or whatever, but this is the first glimpse that we are getting of the suspect of the stolen vehicle being pursued now by CHP. Started in Costa Mesa, now in Cerritos. Bruce, what can you tell us about, I don't know if I see a second person, a passenger perhaps in the car, but what can you tell us about the mindset of a person who is being pursued by authorities and will try anything?
You know, what they ultimately want to do is they want to get away. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen 90+% of the time. They're just trying to live their last moments of freedom, smoke a cigarette, maybe talk on the cell phone, talk to loved ones, or, you know, in the best case scenario, maybe try to negotiate their safe surrender.
As we look at one of the pursuit vehicles behind this Audi, it doesn't look like they're pulling back at this point and just monitoring. It does seem as if they are actively pursuing this person. At what point do you start to, as CHP or the lead agency, start to back off a little bit and decide that, okay, you know what, we'll just follow from our air vehicles?
Yeah, what's important is the person in the vehicle dictates your response. What you have in this case is he's driving at a good clip. He's driving above the speed limit, but he's not driving crazy. So at this point, CHP is going to stay behind him, going to let him know that we are there. You're not going anywhere, and we're not going anywhere. But we would back off if he started doing some very dangerous maneuvers, like we've seen in pursuits in the past.
And when a suspect is on the freeway, they don't put out spike strips. They don't do pit maneuvers. What can they do to stop a suspect like this?
Yeah, you know, it's very hard on a freeway because your speeds are so much higher than that of surface streets. Plus, with all the other vehicles on the freeway, it's hard to set up a clear operational zone to put a spike strip or use a pit maneuver. If he were to slow down and they were to make those things happen, then they could do a pit maneuver, but you also don't want to cause any more damage or injuries to anybody, more importantly, the public on this. So they're just going to stay behind them. They're going to monitor this. They're going to roll with their lights and siren to let the other vehicles know that there is an emergency going on.
Well, Bruce, what did we just watch there? One CHP officer passes another in the carpool lane, and what are the techniques here? What are the tactics that they're doing with these pursuit vehicles? Did you see that? Were you able to see that in your monitor?
Yes, I did. What you'll see a lot of times are the handoffs from one CHP jurisdictional area to another. They can also be moving on ahead to maybe set up traffic breaks to give them possibly an operational zone where they may be able to pit the vehicle if it is slow enough.
And that vehicle, as we see, is moving over to the right-hand side, perhaps maybe trying to take an exit, but the vehicle did start just recently in Cerritos, not begin, but it was in Cerritos. Now the 405 at Alondra near Norwalk, crossing over into the left lane, and not a lot of cars there.
Yeah, and now you're starting to see a little bit more, I don't want to necessarily say reckless driving, but certainly dangerous driving, and the fact that he's crossing over 6-7 lanes of traffic. It does look as if now, Bruce, that we're getting into more congestion, and that's going to potentially create some dangerous scenarios for this guy, as you see, driving down on this shoulder into the lane that's meant for merging traffic. So many people are going to be all of a sudden surprised by a person driving this much faster than they are, and that leads to the danger for the bystanders.
Yeah, very much so, and that's why you'll see CHP with their lights and siren, and at night they'll use their spotlights to warn other drivers that there's something coming that could be a danger to you. So in this case, this guy is now showing a wrongful disregard for the public safety and for the safety of himself and the pursuing officers. So he wants to get away.
And he is now, looks like, taking an exit from the freeway. We are told that, and cars are stopped. We're going to see what he does as he approaches. Doesn't look like he can get by this. Let's watch and see. Crossing over the curb into oncoming traffic to get off of that freeway, somewhere in Cerritos or Norwalk, we are told. It's not clear what street this is right here. CHP in pursuit. Studebaker Road, there it is. Studebaker Road,
near
Florence Avenue. Yeah, in probably Norwalk or Cerritos.
So at this point, Bruce, does CHP continue to be the lead agency on this because it was on the freeway, and until this is under wraps, they pretty much control this, or will they hand it off to other agencies?
At this point, CHP would be the primary agency in this, but however, through mutual aid, they've been in contact with the sheriffs in Norwalk to let them know that, hey, the pursuit is coming your way. We're about to enter your streets. So be advised, we may request assistance from the sheriff's department.
And this person is driving erratically and driving at a very high rate of speed on surface streets. This is on Florence Avenue. And the CHP continues behind him. Bruce, what is the mindset of a person who, in Los Angeles, we have so many pursuits, and mostly they end with the person being caught and being placed under arrest and sent to jail? Why does a suspect, believe that they might be the one to get away?
You know, the mindset is boggling to law enforcement. You're not going to outrun the helicopter. You're not going to outrun the radio. You're not going to get away. And ultimately, what happens in these pursuits is they just kind of give up. Maybe they get tired. They get bored. I don't know. But, you know, the last thing we want to do in any pursuit is have the public endangered so that, you know, something happens, we're an accident, and the public gets hurt because this person took a car and doesn't want to give up.
Well, I think you've really described the way we see most of these end, and that it's almost exhaustion. You hate the chase because there is the possibility somebody's going to get hurt. In many cases, people are absolutely recklessly, they don't care about their safety nor anyone else. But it seems to me the bulk of them simply end without further incident, where the person in the car just finally has made the phone calls, had the cigarette, and it's just like, okay, I'm done. But that moment right there is incredibly dangerous. They went through an intersection against the light. So maybe we don't really know. We can't conjecture as far as what is in this person's mind. But clearly, at some point, this has got to stop because these guys putting a lot of people at risk. So
yeah,
he gets fired sooner than later.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. In this case, you know, you have a watch commander, you have a supervisor in the pursuit, and they're monitoring it. And if it gets to the point where it's just too dangerous, they will call the pursuit off, or they'll cancel it, or 1022 it, as they say. And what will happen is the helicopter will go into surveillance mode, and they'll follow them.
And we see a legal turn right there, left-hand turn, crossing over into the other side of the street, now on Shoemaker Avenue, but this was on the southbound 405 at Harbor Boulevard, then the 73 South northbound 405, then the 605 northbound, and the northbound 405 at Alondra in Norwalk, off now in Santa Fe Springs on Shoemaker Avenue. Several CHP officers behind, pausing just a little bit, being a little bit cautious, going through this intersection, and now making a left-hand turn on Telegraph Road.
That might, depending on the direction he's going, that might take him back to the 605, possibly. But at this point, he's just been driving on surface streets. So he's left the freeway, and he's been driving around Cerritos, Santa Fe Springs, clearly Downey. I believe he was in Downey there for a moment. So many cases, these people will drive around in areas that they are familiar with, maybe possibly try to get out and make a run for it. But since he's been on the surface streets, we've really seen stuff like this.
Sidewalk.
Where that was a turn lane, but he has gone into oncoming traffic to get away. He has jumped over the median at a couple of spots to try to make a U-turn. So clearly, while maybe not as reckless as some we've seen, certainly still dangerous.
Yeah, his speeds and his driving manner are just to the point where if I was the watch commander and all I have is an information based on a stolen vehicle, I might back the units off, cancel the pursuit, and have the helicopter go into a tracking mode.
And, he's coming to a stop now, making a left-hand turn over the median.
He could get high-centered there. Nope.
Over the median. Doesn't look like anybody's in the passenger side.
So now what happens when you're doing something like this? Now, Bruce, that's what you're talking about. They have an opportunity when things slow down, and he's going to... They have aggressively pinned him, and he continues to make his move. Look at the damage to the Audi there. And now, oddly enough, the police officers are kind of out of position. So now what, Bruce?
Well, at this point, you've tried to pit him. You were successful in the pit maneuver, and it can turn into a barricade or a standoff with the suspect.
Well, the police got right back behind him. So does that give you an indication as an officer as to, we've talked about the mindset prior to now, but that seems to me to be an indication that this is not a person who might just get tired and give up, because that is borderline attempted assault with a deadly weapon, because you have a vehicle and he basically went after police with that vehicle.
That's correct. What you now have is an assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. He just escalated this whole thing from taking a stolen vehicle without owner's permission to now from a misdemeanor to a felony. So at this point, the police departments, CHP, sheriffs, maybe Downey PD, are not going to back off. They really want this guy, and they want to take him into custody.
And they are getting pretty close to him, whereas before they were backing off. Now thinking he's going to make a left turn again and maybe trying to pit him at this point. He's going on the opposite side of the street. They probably would want to hurry up and pit him, but through an intersection and back on the right side of the street now. Santa Fe Springs, Telegraph Road.
So this has turned up just a little bit as we continue to watch this, and this person has really gotten into congested traffic. You're running into the lunch hour now, where people are probably out and about, and CHP has really gotten much more aggressive as far as trying to get this stopped. You see the damage to the Audi. If you're just joining us here as we approach Eyewitness News at 11 a.m., you're seeing officers try to end a pursuit that's now been going on for about a half an hour or so, and they damaged the vehicle when 3 different CHP SUVs tried to pinch him in and keep him from being able to go anywhere, but he was able to go forward. And Bruce, one of the things that I've been told in the past, you don't want to get directly in front of the person, correct? Even though it may seem like that's a great idea to block them in, that puts that officer at great risk with somebody like this, correct? I mean, we saw them not necessarily completely box him in, but they tried to pinch him almost.
Yeah, that's correct, Philip. I mean, you never want to get in front of the suspect, because that can create at the terminus a crossfire. Just safety concerns are huge. Plus, the officer now has nowhere to go but being in his or her vehicle. But what I have seen in the last couple of pursuits is CHP, San Bernardino sheriffs, have been very much more aggressive in trying to end these pursuits with the pit maneuver, pinching in the vehicle,
might do one
as you
here.
said,
He didn't.
that kind of thing.
And we don't know if the suspect is armed. We also don't know whether this was a carjacking or simply a stolen vehicle from a parked location. So that would weigh heavily into how they are trying to apprehend him, and if they know if he's armed or not.
Yeah, Leslie and Philip, you have a stolen vehicle. However, the suspect's actions have dictated there's possibly more there. He could be a parolee. He could be wanted for various other felony crimes. And in this case, it may be not just a stolen vehicle.
Well, this is going to be an interesting moment here, because now they have We saw that there was a chance maybe at a pit, but then you look once they made the turn and there were too many other cars around, because you have to find this opportunity to pit him without hurting anyone that's driving. Obviously, the whole mission is to end this without anyone getting hurt, including the suspect. But you see a moment like this where you might get an open stretch of road and then a turn comes up. Maybe our camera's breaking up just a little bit there. But this person has really been reckless as far as putting other people at risk the way he's navigating some of these turns. I mean, we've seen him jump over the center median there. We've seen him drive through a parking lot. And each time that it seems as if there might be a chance for a pit, they've not been able to do it because of crowded conditions. This looks like they've pulled back just a little bit now, because the CHP was right in the shot. Oh, there he is now again.
He's going through several intersections, and these intersections are really getting congested. It's incredible that he has not had harmed anyone yet. We did see that he ran into a few cars, but this is just, he's now getting onto Interstate 5. This is Santa Fe Springs, Interstate 5, getting back on the interstate southbound. And
I can't imagine getting on the 5 is going to make things better for this person, because the 5 is always, when your regular commute, you want to avoid the 5. But somehow by going southbound, maybe he's heading away from the heavily congested area, but still, the 5, so many pockets of slowing, and he continues to just move across lanes at his own leisure.
How are they able, Bruce, we just passed another CHP officer, a CHP patrol car on the side of the freeway. How are they able to map out where he's going to be and then place officers where he can just pass them up?
You know, it's just radio technology, and the fact that he's now going a certain direction, so you have other units in the area, and they're letting him know he could possibly be coming your way, southbound, northbound, the 5 in this case. So they're just pre-staging themselves to possibly join the pursuit, maybe take it over, and exchange out. So in this case, it's just a matter of pre-positioning.
Well, Bruce, they are now approaching the 605. He's on the 5 South, approaching the 605. But for people who are just joining us, they see the damage on that vehicle. And we actually have video queued up of just a few minutes ago when this person was trying to get away. So the live image is on your left, and the right is where just a few moments ago we thought that they might be able to end this. This is the section where he pulled through a parking lot. Officers had a chance to get him pinned in. You see that he hits one person that's just a bystander, and then the officers thought they might have him. You see them try to pinch him there. But as Bruce had told us, you don't want to get in front of a person this willing to cause harm to others. He could have run over, hurt the officer, moved on. But that image on the right is video, and then now on the left you see that live shot. So we'll go back to that full. You can see the bumper that's damaged, and then of course you see the car. But it clearly, Bruce, is not affecting the way this car handles.
Bruce, how many CHP patrol cars would you say are involved in this chase? We can just see with the camera shot possibly 3, but how many would you say in total are involved in trying to take this person down?
You know, I think if Bear 7 HD pulled out, you probably would say maybe 6 or 7, because you know you have one person in the vehicle. He's obviously shown that he does not want to go to jail.
Okay, so Bruce, let me interrupt you here. Look at what he's done. He's now not on his side of the freeway. He's actually gone into a construction area and turned around on the freeway, which, as I look at this, now I'm trying... That's the area that's under construction there. Again, we're on the he was on the 5 South, and everybody that's driven that knows it. But that was insane.
Yeah, his actions now are bordering on the canceling of this pursuit. He's just endangering too many lives, and so I'm sure CHP is evaluating that, maybe to back off. But they also might have some additional information about this suspect, besides just a stolen vehicle, but maybe assault with a deadly weapon on the PO, which is one of the charges for sure.
So they would not back off if they knew for sure that he was armed?
And in this case, you cannot let a felon who's armed flee like that. You have to take this person into custody for the public's safety.
Well, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's now a felony, certainly felony charges due to the fact that he so aggressively went at officers with that vehicle, which is considered a weapon at this point. Now he's transitioning off of the 5. It looks like he's going to the south 605. So before he gets on the freeway, they may try a pit right here, because now he's got a chance if they can get inside that bumper. But nope, he made that corner a little bit better than the SUV. He's just got a vehicle that works better in some of those tight spots like that. Sports car, and then you've got the SUV behind him. So now we're back on the 605, and I believe I was told the 605 north.
Is it 605 north in Downey?
South, I apologize.
South.
So 605 south.
Yeah,
but
got some
now
big
you're looking
rigs.
at...
Yeah. Bruce, what are your thoughts right now as you're looking at this?
You know, this is a pursuit that you have to maintain and continue. And I know there's a great deal of discipline and anxiety being shown by CHP. But in this case, this guy is going to go to jail. It's just a matter of when. And hopefully he does not hurt anybody in that process.
Well, that ends up being, the thing. It's, and you're right, Bruce. We don't necessarily know at this point what CHP knows about this pursuit suspect. We know that the vehicle is reported as stolen. And at its early stages, this person seemed to be content to just not turn himself in. But now it has escalated to the point where this person not only is driving incredibly recklessly, putting other people at risk, but in a sense, we've watched an assault on an officer when the person tried to get away after the officers had pinched him in. So we're waiting to see how this is going to end with everyone. This is Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. We're joined by Bruce Thomas, a law enforcement expert. This pursuit has now been going on for roughly 45 minutes. And initially, Leslie, you even pointed out the casual nature with the person inside that we can actually see quite well here.
Yeah, we're getting up
he was
close.
very casual, but certainly things changed.
Is the cigarettes, perhaps? Sometimes we do see that. But we also have, what we saw just a few minutes ago, the construction site video. You can see he goes into a construction area. It looks like it's going to be a dead end, and then makes a U-turn and gets back on the freeway, crossing over some barriers, getting back on the freeway. And there are several cars on this freeway. It is congested, and he is weaving around. We have seen him do a number of traffic violations, from those high speeds and reckless driving to driving on the wrong side of the street, driving onto off-ramps on the wrong side, getting pinned between those two CHP vehicles, and going through intersections the wrong way. This is a highly tense situation and very dangerous.
Bruce, when you some of the times when we really zoom in, we can see what is some movement by the driver. There was a moment ago where he didn't have his hands on the wheel. He was actually steering with his knee. But the airships with CHP, they're flying lower than our crew, yes. And so are they making an effort to try to get an eye inside that car and see even more so? I mean, I know the back windows are tinted, but do you think is that an attempt on their part? Will they try to find out what's going on in there?
Oh, definitely. They want to gather as much information on this driver and inside the vehicle as they can, because at this point, this has become a huge officer safety concern. It's not just a stolen vehicle. Just as a traffic stop, it's not a routine traffic stop. This has been escalated on a scale of 1 to 10 to a 10. This guy wants to get away. He's assaulted police officers in the process. So there's definitely more to this.
I wonder what he's doing with his
Bruce,
hands.
as someone who has managed pursuits like this, are there officers who are saying, does the watch commander or whoever's managing this says, okay, we're going to give this 10 more minutes. If it escalates, we're going to pull off. And then other people are saying, no, just give me 15 more minutes. I can get this guy. What's going on in the inner circle?
Yeah, Leslie, that's a great comment there, because the officers are not in charge of the pursuit. They are following the vehicle. They're driving with lights and siren. They're involved in the pursuit, but the pursuit is being managed by a supervisor, someone that may not be in the pursuit, which may be in an office, watching this on your coverage and talking and hearing the radio traffic. So they're managing the pursuit, and that's to take the emotion out of their management skills.
Oh.
Well, we're westbound 91 at this point, and you can see from Air 7 it's giving you the speed with which at which this driver is going, and he's between the mid 70s now, dropping down to 60. So he must be, as we can't really see by zooming in like that, it looks like he's left the freeway. So he's taken maybe the Riverside exit, but has out of our view here at this point and dropped speeds down, and there he is. So now he's revealed. So he's left the freeway once again. Looks like he's on Bellflower. And he is heading eastbound, it looks like, roughly eastbound on Bellflower. And once again, driving through an intersection. And then here now, we'll see what he's going to do. He's going to get pinched in by a couple of people. And you often see, Bruce, and I got to think that's a variable that police don't like, is when bystanders know what's going on and they think they're helping. So that is an added risk that you'd like to not see, I'm sure.
Yeah, very much so. There was a pursuit, I believe, last year that ended in the North Hollywood area where a couple of big rig truckers actually boxed the suspect in and prevented him from going through an intersection, and he was taken into custody without incident. But we never, ever want the public to intercede in something like this. It's just way too dangerous.
Mm-hmm. He's on Artesia Boulevard now on Surface Street. That CHP patrol car right behind him, coming up to an intersection which doesn't look all that busy. Possibly a pit maneuver? No. He makes a right-hand turn and continues with this chase. The officer looks like he's getting up to the left side of him. But no, more cars in the front and a right-hand turn through that intersection on Palm Street now.
There he
Still
goes.
in Bellflower.
Now he did it.
There you go. Pit
He
maneuver.
got a street where there were no
I bet he'll
cars.
take off.
We'll see how much this vehicle is damaged and if it can still be driven. And he's trying. And a moment ago, I'm curious what's in his hands. I kept wondering, what is he doing with his hands? Because he's
gesturing.
He was handling something. And here we've
pulling
got a really
something
good look.
out.
And that is so risky for
pulling out?
police. Because what is he doing at this point? And he
he's got
might.
something in his hand.
I don't want to make any guesses here, but neither do officers, right, Bruce? I mean, you can't assume anything at this point.
That's correct. I mean, unfortunately, you're going to make an assumption. This is a felony suspect, which you know for a fact. Is he armed? You don't know. But you're going to treat this as he is armed. You're going to take all necessary precautions, and with lethal weaponry, in addition to less than lethal weaponry, back that up also.
Well, they've got canine units.
The canine unit is there. What are police doing right now?
With the
their
canine
plan?
unit, I'm watching coverage and I'm just a little behind you. So I'm assuming he has stopped.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Bruce, let's set the stage for you then. He's stopped. It does appear it's a little difficult from our perspective to see the topography. My guess is that area that he's pointing at is more uphill, and he can't continue up, and it does look like there are railings behind him. He's not going to be able to go backwards. So he is now, it's a standoff. You've got CHP that's got him on one side, and then if you notice, there was CHP on the other side. We're in Bellflower. We're going to try to get the actual, it looks like an on-ramp possibly to the freeway. If we could put our
And we are told,
mapping
Philip, that
technology.
he is refusing to get out.
Okay.
That's what we are told.
So here's our street address, and it underneath stolen vehicles. Okay, so it's Palm Street. So we're looking at Palm Street is where he is. And when we were looking at it a moment ago, the suspect in this vehicle, we looked right through the front windshield. The suspect was reaching under the dashboard in the passenger seat for something. We did not know what he did. We don't know if he was grabbing a weapon, but we do know that that vehicle was used in an assault on an officer because we saw that happen. So at this point, we're trying to figure out how they're going to get him out of here. And Leslie had asked Bruce, what's the next step in this process?
Yeah, thank you, Philip, for setting that up for me. Yeah, what you have now is a barricade. You treat this just like you would a barricaded suspect in a house. They're going to contain it. They're going to control it. They're going to communicate. They're going to give the suspect some commands. Maybe he'll listen. Maybe he won't. If he doesn't, then they're going to ask for the Special Enforcement Bureau through mutual aid, a SWAT team per se, to come on out and handle this barricade.
And it appears that they're in a pretty good position. Not a lot of people around, no pedestrians around. They're right next to the freeway or above it, as we see, and looks like a building, maybe an apartment or some sort of a business next to it, and shrubbery between them. So we are seeing into the the driver's side right now. We see some movement there. Can't quite make out what he's doing, but he is gesturing and active in some way, Philip.
Yeah, if our video had continued a little bit more there, we kind of cut it out a little sooner. But our live shot on the left, you can actually see in the window. Maybe if we can get Air 7 to go ahead and zoom in on that, or maybe we don't want to. I'm going to leave that to our management team. But he is now clearly communicating with authorities. We just can't see in his hands what he has. Many times we want to pull out because we don't want to show something that is too extreme. So that's maybe why we're not pushing in right now. But he is clearly communicating with officers. The hope here is, I'm assuming, Bruce, that if they can talk to him and they can get him to come out, lay down, surrender, that's the best possible outcome for all concerned at this point.
Yes, sir. That is the best outcome that law enforcement could hope for, is to not use force on the suspect, to have him surrender peacefully, and not have to escalate this any further than it's escalated.
What would they be telling him right now? We have about 9 officers, a canine as well. His window is down. We saw him talking to them, and it appears as though officers are communicating with him. What are they telling him right now?
Basically, keep your hands in plain sight. If your vehicle is running, use your offhand or your left hand possibly to turn the vehicle off. Throw the keys out the window so we know it's not going to go anywhere. Keep your hands up. And if you can, open the door and surrender and walk toward us or follow our commands. The vehicle also may have the driver's door damaged, so he may not be able to get out. He might be communicating that to the officers.
Yeah, they're waving him as if it looked like a couple of them were waving at him to come forward. I'm not sure what they had said, but at what point do you believe the suspect who's done what this guy has done if he's saying, well, I can't open the door? Because you can't, it seems to me it wouldn't be reasonable to believe that at face value.
Yeah, there are a couple things they can do. They can ask him to keep his both hands out the window. They can approach using a ballistic shield, which is an armor-plated type shield where they can look through with their guns drawn, grab his arms, pull him out through the window. It may look a little ugly, but that's actually a safe way to do it. Or they may instruct him to go to the passenger side. But in this case, I would want to keep him on the driver's side.
Now, why?
Because this way I can control it more.
We might have lost your phone there, Bruce. That was Bruce Thomas. Oh. There he is. Okay, so why did you say you would prefer him to be on the driver's side beyond you can control it more?
Just because that's where the officers are, that's where the visual is. Until you get officers on the other side of this freeway on-ramp or off-ramp, it's going to be kind of hard. You're just going by what your visual is and what the helicopter can see also.
Looks like he's opening the door. Now, they do have officers on the other side. The officer who conducted the pit actually continued forward and barricaded him on the other side. Now, it looks as if he's doing exactly what Bruce had said. He's got the keys in his hand, and they're probably going to ask him to throw those keys out, like Bruce just said a moment ago. But he is agitated, and he is completely, he keeps putting his hands down, and that can't be something they want to see.
Yeah.
No, not at all. You want him to comply fully with your commands. The fact that I have a canine there, they're letting him know, if you're not going to be cooperative, we will release the canine, and the canine will do its job.
What is he reaching down for?
He won't drop those keys, which I've got to think is one of the issues they want based on what Bruce has said as policy. It seems like throw them down. Why does he put them in his pocket, Bruce?
You know,
and he's still too close to the car, right? They want him away from that vehicle.
It's just bizarre on this guy.
Well, you know, there could be drugs involved in any number of things, but you can see what officers deal with when they give someone orders and the person just keeps doing what they're doing, puts their hands in their pockets, is jittery, has keys in their hand. It's never a clean, they never just do exactly what the officers want.
Well, and here's the thing. This guy keeps acting as if he, and I will tell you this, Bruce, we've seen it before. A lot of these guys are terrified of the dog. And many times I've seen them say, keep the dog away from me. And that's one of the reasons they do some of the things they do. Except this guy has remained very close to the vehicle. He's kept the keys on his person. And every time he does what you think is comply, he qualifies it almost. Like even his legs right now, he has crossed. He's very close to that car. And I got to think that's not something you want.
No, not at all. And the fact that he's being extremely uncooperative is just another level of defiance by this suspect. I would not be very surprised if they did not use some less lethal weaponry on him, stun bag, beanbag rounds, or possibly release the canine to kind of force the issue here.
Well, they've got him cuffed now, and they're going to clear the car at this point. So that was an intense few moments here, and they're going to make sure that he was alone in his car. It does look like that's what they've done. And he is now being taken into custody and continuing to chatter away.
But they were very cautious as they approached him with the dog. Even though he was on the ground and was surrendering, they had the dog and they had the shield so that they wouldn't get shot, and the guns trained on the car in case there was someone else inside. But now they are clearing that car in the trunk, looking for any possible weapons or whatever else might be in that vehicle. But it looks like it's over.
Okay, does that look like that might be damage from when they tried to pinch him in? It kind of looked like gunshots there in the back window. But it also could be damage from when they pinched him in. So who knows if shots were ever actually fired in this. But Bruce, want to say thanks again to Bruce Thomas for joining us here to help us walk through what CHP would be doing, how exactly they would approach this. They got the suspect in custody. This is the best. Now you've got another look here of what CHP was dealing with. You had people onlookers looking. You know, you're trying to keep everyone safe. And so it does look as if this pursuit is over. That is Palm Street, I believe is what we said, in Bellflower. So if you are in need of driving through Bellflower and you're coming up on this area, you're going to probably have to wait a little bit because they're going to have to tow this vehicle out of there. You're going to have to get everything and the scene cleared and the investigation wrapped up at that location. So be aware that might affect your commute a little bit.
Fortunately, no one was injured. That's such a good job by officers, because he was very erratic. Okay, well, that's that. Well, we've got scattered showers turning to our weather right now. We've got soggy conditions. Look at this, a live picture at LAX. Most of the action is forecast for the foothill communities.